Indie Zombie Games. Hey everybody, welcome to a brand new edition of Indie Zombie. I am Jordan Royter. Today I am playing a little game called Steel Rivals. This is on the Wii U. It goes for about $7. It's a crappy semi-3D fighting game. I say semi-3D because the models are in 3D, but you have no 3D interaction with the arenas and stuff like that. And the game, I've actually played a little bit of this just to test it out in the training, and then in 2 matches of the single player. And I can already tell you, I don't like this game at all. And I like fighting games. I grew up, with stuff like Street Fighter and Soul Calibur and Mortal Kombat and stuff like that. And this game just feels really, really, really crappy. Let me show you how by going off into the training menu. Now, first of all, you do have a wide selection of characters. There's about 18, 17 different characters. But the fighting is very limited here. You only have, as far as I can tell, like 2 buttons. You have a semi-melee, and then you have a main attack button. All the rest of the buttons on the controller do nothing. So I'm just going to pick a random character here. We'll go with Roland, and you pick your opponent. This goes for the same thing in single player. There's apparently no story. It's just random fights, which is a big mark against this. And we'll go with Bixu. Apparently there are other costumes that you can unlock as you go through the game. I don't really care, to be perfectly honest, because this game is obviously very minimal for what it has and what it presents. And this is how crappy it is when it goes into the training mode, because you know how typical a training mode is in a fighting game, where it teaches you, it's supposed to teach you how to get familiar with the controls and how to get familiar with your character, how to use your character, how your character plays, how their moves work, and how to even do their moves. Instead, it's just this. As far as I know, there is no option to pick up any sort of, hey, what do these buttons do? Or how do I do this combo? So right now, the A button does this little 2-hit combo, or 3-hit, I can't really tell. And the fact that every time the camera is just so damn close on you, and yeah, and the A button, or the B button, I should say, because it's kind of backwards here. And your jump is so ridiculously high and floaty, and you block by just holding back. Which I like. I mean, for some games, it works. Of course, like traditional Street Fighter and stuff like that. Whereas in Soul Calibur, well, you had to hold the A or the B button in order to block, because that would activate your shield or anything like that. So, but yeah, so far, I mean, and there's no dashing, there's no evading, you can't move about the board or anything like that, and the sound effects on here just sound crappy. And this is really all this game is. I mean, at least the game has a wide selection of characters. But what just really bothers me is how, there's... is that this is all this game is. It's just so minimal, but it's just not very good minimal. And apparently you can kill your opponent in training. I thought you couldn't, but apparently you can, because... part of training mode, you usually can't kill your opponent, and they can't kill you. And bear in mind, this game was about $7. And I like how his second hit just doesn't hit at all. It just goes right through the opponent, even though you're close enough to be able to hit him. I don't even know if you can... No, you can't really combine your other attack. Kind of, but the game's not very consistent about when you can hit and when you can't. When I was playing single player earlier with a different character, their moves just felt very clunky and very slow, and that's how a lot of the game just feels in general. It feels very clunky, it feels very slow. This just feels like a very poorly made game. You know, I mean, especially with the fact that it only uses 2 buttons. But hey, I mean, dive kick only used 2 buttons, but that was kind of the point of it. It was a very minimal game where, you know, you had a dive and a kick button, but that was a game that didn't feel clunky or broken or anything like that. That was actually a pretty fast-paced game that depended on your timing and your reflexes and just out-moving your opponent. It wasn't this clunky, broken, overpriced, well, $7 isn't really overpriced, but it certainly feels overpriced. I would just like to know, like, what's the red meter? Is that supposed to be your stamina? Oh, and apparently he can dash. I mean, this character, you know, who I'm fighting seems to have a larger moveset than I do, and you know, and that's the part of the game that feels really unfair, is that the computer, you know, seems to know all these different moves, you know, that I don't know. Oh, and apparently you can do different moves while you're ducking. Which, again, the game doesn't tell you that. You know, it just seems to me that in a far better game, the game would tell you what you can and can't do. Woo! I won the training match. No, I'm not going to play that again. The game also has a weird interface, too, where it doesn't really even seem to tell you, you know, when you go to hit, you know, quit or continue, it doesn't seem to properly register that. There are options. Best of 3, unlimited, hell no. Training mode. Yeah, that's not training. Survival. Fight increasingly harder opponents. Tournament. Win the tournament. Unlock new outfits. Alright, I'm going to show you guys the single player now. And I'm going to lower the difficulty, because I actually played this on normal. Eldrin. Bixu. I'm going to see how Bixu plays. And we'll fight against Sheena. And then, of course, there are all these different stages, but it doesn't seem to matter because they're just backgrounds. And, again, I mean, it's a 3D game, but you can't move about 3D, so what's really even the point of it? I mean, this might as well have been, you know, just a side-scrolling, you know, 2D fighting game. So why did they even go with this 3D modeling? And again, the opponent is moving faster than I am. Jesus Christ. And I have this on easy. So she's just as aggressive as she was when I fought her in normal mode. And why is there no dash? And why is the camera so damn close to you? Because, you know, as you can see, when you jump, the camera follows you. This game just feels like garbage. It feels like garbage, and it kind of plays like garbage. Now, and I only looked at this out of morbid curiosity, wondering like, like, maybe it's a Soul Calibur style type game, but no, but that's just belittling Soul Calibur. Because Soul Calibur had a hell of a lot more going for it than this does. Hell, at least Soul Calibur actually bothered to use all of its buttons on this damn controller. This game only uses 2. And no, just in case you're wondering, you don't use, or actually can't use, the analog stick at all. Ooh, I won! Just purely out of button mashing. Woo! Because that's what you want, you know, from a stereotypical fighting game. It's just button mashing. You don't want any strategy, you don't want any skill, or anything like that. You just want a button mash. Not that I'm a fighting game pro or anything like that, but I would, you know, like to know that, oh, I won because of how well I played the game, not just doing that. Yeah, so right now I'm just going to button mash the crap out of this. Because that's clearly the only way to win. I mean, hell, it's been working for the computer. Again, man, these jumps remind me so much of Shaq Fu. Where you just have a ridiculously long jump for no good reason. Woo, I won. I care. Play again? Do I just fight her again? Or do I move on to a new opponent? And this is single player. I fight her again. In single player mode. Oh god, this game is fucking stupid. I'm sorry, but and I mean this game kind of it kind of breaks the typical conventions of a fighting game, but that doesn't necessarily make it good. I mean, why are these characters here? Who even are these characters? You don't know. I mean, they don't seem to have any sort of a backstory, and there's no story in general so far. And survival is clearly all that it is just survival. Let's take a look at the lizard man, Trodon. I mean, I wanted to give this game a chance, but this is obviously just garbage. And it's sad, that it's garbage. Because like I don't want to go into a game just flat out hating it because it's, because it's different or because like, oh, like I don't like fighting games. No, I like fighting games. I do. I'm not very good at them, but man, this game is crap. And I'm not sure, because I'm not really an expert or anything like that, but this frame rate seems really crappy too. And this is a $7 game. I've played far better games on the Xbox Live Indie Network for $4 to $5 that were far better than this and far more interesting than this. I would rather want to play Mace the Dark Age than this. And I don't even consider that game to be crappy. I mean, it's clunky, but it's a good and interesting game and has far more interesting characters, than this game does. Hell, those characters at least have a backstory to them. That game has a story. Ugh. And the fact that there's no blood in this game either, like, does actually kind of surprise me. Because you'd think with a game like this that, that has no story, doesn't really have any characters, that you'd think that, oh, well, maybe it's just insanely violent. No. So it doesn't even have that, going for it. I mean, it doesn't have a very good fighting mechanic. It has no story. It has no characters. The fighting mechanics kind of suck. And there's no violence to it either. So, who is this game for? I mean, you'd think it'd be, for fighting game enthusiasts, but it's not very good. I mean, it's pretty clunky. It's pretty broken. I mean, it's not really broken, but it's not fun. I mean, it's not entertaining at all. Ooh, I got a new high score. Because I really care about a high score in a fighting game. Okay, let's check out tournament. Eldarin. Okay. The fact that there's not a lot of music for any of these sections is kind of annoying too. And the fact that, none of the characters ever even talk or anything is pretty baffling too. This is just, again, it's a very minimal fighting game. God, my character, my Eldarin character, if that was his name, kind of looks like an elven version of Lex Luthor. God. I could be playing any sort of a fighting game that was much better than this right now. Like I said, I could be playing Mace the Dark Age. I could be playing DOA 2. I could play any game from the DOA series and it'd be far better than this shit. And I actually like the DOA series. I could be playing Street Fighter. I could be playing Soul Calibur. I could be playing Mortal Kombat. I could be playing some Dive Kick. You know, hell, Dive Kick is challenging. And this game isn't challenging. It's just, it's unnecessarily hard because the computer knows far more about the game than you do. Because this game's so-called training simulation doesn't teach you anything about the game. While you're maybe trying to figure out what does what and then what doesn't do anything, the computer just continues to wail on you. When in any other fighting game, the game would, okay, just go, and the computer opponent will not do anything unless you want it to. And then if you want to go through the moves list, if you want to go through the button lists, and then what combos do what, and blah, 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 blah. That's a proper fighting game. This isn't. This is $7 garbage, is what this is. Yeah, that's great. Am I continuing on in the tournament, despite the fact that I lost? Okay, game. These load times are a little annoying, too. Okay. Yeah, I'm calling it quits on this one. This game is $7 worth of garbage. I mean, it's got all these features, but it's the same thing. Fight an opponent. That's pretty much it. And there's no story. There's no characterization. Again, the 2-button limit for a game like this makes no sense, especially for a modern game. And this game's not that old. This game came out about 2 weeks ago, you know, on the Wii U store. Now, I mean, you want to call this a fairly minimal game. Sure, that's fine. But I've played far better minimal games that did a hell of a lot more than this. This is unacceptable. This game should have gone for maybe a little bit less. But yeah, this is garbage. If I would have to give a rating to this, probably the lowest rating I could give this is gotta be a 3 out of a 10. I mean, this game is garbage. I'm not willing to play any more of this for any sort of a review. This has got to be one of the worst fighting games that I've ever played. Maybe one of the worst games that I've ever played so far for Indie Zombie. There have probably been worse, but man, oh man, oh man. I mean, you take everything into account in this, and this is just a terrible example of a fighting game. I mean, Samurai Showdown that I played on the Indie network from Xbox 360 was pretty bad too, but that was only $1. This was $7. Well, everybody, this has been Indie Zombie Let's Play Steel Rivals on the Wii U. I'm Jordan Royter. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like and subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. You can check me out on Twitter at JMR2709. I'll see you guys next time. Hope you enjoyed. Take care of yourselves.